Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. The Audiopocalypse miniset is live, Festival of Legends miniset, and it has really changed the meta. In this video, I'm going to take a look at all of the best decks that you can use to climb to Legend at the start of June in this new meta. And yeah, things have really changed. The miniset didn't actually bring any really completely new decks into the meta, but it did buff many existing archetypes, and in particular it significantly buffed Warrior, making both Enrage Warrior and Menagerie Warrior viable decks. So let's take a look at what is the current situation with the meta. And in this video I have whopping 17 decks, so the meta is quite diverse at the moment. Coming in at number 17 we have Undead Priest. Undead Priest used to be one of the best decks in the meta, but the archetype didn't get anything from the miniset, and that's a little scary when numerous meta decks were buffed. And as you can see in the matchup spread for Undead Priest is weak against stuff like Pure Paladin, Hybrid Hunter, Menagerie Warrior, Spell Demon Hunter. All of these are decks that were significantly improved or brought back on top of the meta by the miniset. So Undead Priest the deck is the same as ever, it still has its strengths, but all these newcomers or other decks that got buffs from the miniset are really threatening Undead Priest right now, and that's why I'm only rating Undead Priest as number 17. And one thing, Undead Priest right now is not even the best priest deck in the game. Coming in at number 16 we have Weapon Rogue. Rogue is one of the classes that suffered from the miniset. Rogue doesn't really have any great decks, like Weapon Rogue is pretty much the best deck they have, and it has some good strengths against Frost Death Knight, against Relic Demon Hunter, which makes it playable. And at least there is kind of like a playable rogue deck, because the classes that were most hurt by the miniset are Mage and Warlock, neither of which got anything really important from the miniset, and they're just struggling to have any viable decks, and there are no Mage or Warlock decks in this video. At number 15 we have our mandatory Ramp Druid participant. This time it is Big Druid. Big Druid is the only viable Druid archetype at the moment. Cecily of the Feycourt, Neptune Tidehunter, Stoneborn Generals, Kolak actually being better than it has been ever in the history of the game since it was introduced. And Big Druid remains very polarizing deck. It's strong against many of the slower decks like Blood Death Knights, against big Demon Hunters, Relic Demon Hunters, but it also has some miserable weaknesses, and the worst of all is incredibly bad matchup against Pure Paladin. Pure Paladin is one of the big winners of the miniset, and Big Druid having terrible matchup against that, losing almost every time. That just spells trouble for Big Druid. Overall, these big decks were hurt by the miniset a little. At number 14 we have Big Demon Hunter. Big Druid, Big Demon Hunter, both decks existed before the miniset. Neither deck got any improvements from it. And much like Undead Priest, okay, you had a pretty good thing going, but now everyone else is getting a little bit of something extra. You're not getting anything, means that you're becoming a little bit weaker. Still, Big Demon Hunter is a playable deck, but these big decks are definitely being threatened right now, and we'll see if they're able to stay in the meta in the coming weeks. At number 13 we have the most steadfast deck in Festival of Legends. It's Outcast Demon Hunter. Because Outcast Demon Hunter, this list has not changed for weeks. It just keeps being the same list. It hasn't been the best Demon Hunter deck for a while now. Other Demon Hunter decks come and go, and sometimes they're stronger than it, and then they're nerfed and die. Outcast Demon Hunter just stays. It was finalized, it was refined very early in Festival of Legends, and it still has a bunch of power when it unleashes its Halveria Darkraven and some rush minions and boom boom. But overall we have probably seen everything Outcast Demon Hunter has to offer, so I don't expect the archetype to find any new improvements during this expansion. At number 12 we find the first Death Knight deck. Obviously all three main Death Knight archetypes remain playable, remain strong, remain decks that you can use to climb to Legend with Unholy, Frost and Blood. Unholy is the weakest of the Death Knight decks right now. Unholy got nerfed a little bit a while back, and it just hasn't been able to quite recover. Also, it has the problem in that it loses the mirror matchup against Frost Death Knight and against Blood Death Knight. So whenever you meet other Death Knight decks, you're always a little bit unhappy when you're playing as Unholy. And now the new meta, Enrage Warriors, Hybrid Hunters, Unholy Death Knight just getting more bad matchups because of the miniset, and slowly on its way down. At number 11 we have Totem Shaman. And Totem Shaman is one of the decks that got a lot of stuff from the miniset. This specific list, currently the best looking Totem Shaman list on the ladder, is using Jam Session, it's using Remix Totem Carvers, it's using Backstage Bouncers, and it's using Maga, the Bane of Music. So a whole bunch of cards from the miniset. Actually, it looks like Jam Session is not going to be in this deck to stay. It doesn't look strong enough. There's some anti-synergy. You don't really want to hurt your totems and make them easier to kill. So that one is probably going to be on its way out. And I can't wait to see what will happen once Totem Shaman is properly refined, because I think Totem Shaman has a lot of potential and not all of that potential has been realized yet. At number 10, we have the stronger priest deck at the moment, and that is Control Priest. Yeah, not a pure Thief Priest. There have been attempts to do like Thief Priest with the new Pirate and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem that great. It's okay, but not super strong. But Control Priest, just old-fashioned Control Priest, it doesn't actually even use any of the new cards. Like, it just doesn't need any of the new cards. You just steal a card here and there, you discover cards here and there, and proceed to control the game and win. At number 9, we meet the second Death Knight deck. So clearly Death Knight is not as dominant as it was early in Festival of Legends, when you could expect to see like 3 Death Knight archetypes in top 4 or something. Now already 2 of them have been seen by number 9. So number 9, Blood Death Knight. Blood Death Knight did get some buffs from the miniset because it got access to Hollow Hound. So a Rush Lifesteal minion with Cleave. Yeah, that's pretty ideal card for Blood Death Knight. Blood Death Knight really used that lifesteal, changing its health. That's a wonderful effect for Blood Death Knight because of Arcanite Ripper, because of Screaming Banshee. Also removal with Rush, just a great fit to the archetype and keeps Blood Death Knight competitive. We're still in the early days of a new miniset, and obviously in the early days often aggressive decks hold a bit of an edge because people are experimenting with things and then you can just punish them for that, like you can do with Face Hunter. Face Hunter didn't get anything new in the miniset, but the archetype has been on the rise, and I think there's still room for refinement for Face Hunter. In particular, Hope of Quel'Thalas looks like it probably doesn't actually belong in the list in the current meta. But other than that, the archetype looks solid. At number 7, we have Relic Demon Hunter. Relic Demon Hunter was one of the top decks. At High Legend, it was one of the absolute best decks before the miniset. And miniset gave buffs to others, didn't give buffs to Relic Demon Hunter, so it's a story that just keeps repeating. But Relic Demon Hunter still remains a powerful deck, and it also has the advantage that it has some good matchups against some of the newer decks like Menagerie Warrior as well. However, right now the best Demon Hunter deck is a new one. Or maybe it's an old one, depends on how you think about it. Spell Demon Hunter with a Lady Steno combo to end the game. Yeah, didn't we see that already before with Sinful Brand, and Sinful Brand was nerfed and the deck died, and now the deck is back. Thanks to True Fel and Flames, a 0-cost spell that you can use to buff your Lady Steno and make it attack more. So we have that OTK potential back, and Spell Demon Hunter is making the rounds looking really strong and really scary. And at number 5, we have currently the most popular and the strongest Death Knight deck, and that is Frost Death Knight. Like, is this even Festival of Legends? The best Death Knight deck only number 5? The explanation becomes clear when you look at the matchups. Weak against Enrage Warrior, Hybrid Hunter, Menagerie Warrior. Yeah, those warrior buffs and also hunter buffs have really had a major effect on the meta, and they have managed to dethrone Frost Death Knight, at least a little bit. And then we arrive at our warrior duo. Coming in at number 4 is Menagerie Warrior. Warrior got a whole bunch of new cards, and it's still a little bit uncertain which cards you're able to use and where. This Menagerie Warrior, for example, makes use of Magatha, Bane of Music, and Backstage Bouncer. But it could also use the 2-mana weapon, it could also use the Abyssal Bassist. There's still plenty of refinement coming, and already Menagerie Warrior looks really strong. However, the stronger warrior deck and the strongest warrior deck is Enrage Warrior. Enrage Warrior with Jam Session. Jam Session is just such an incredible card for this archetype. It has synergy with Tori Bellore, it has synergy with Anima Extractor, it has synergy with Sunfury Champion, it has synergy with Foul Egg. It just makes the deck so much better. Currently, Jam Session is the only new card used in Enrage Warrior. in this list at least. But there's potential. Like I said, Warrior got a whole bunch of new cards, and it's possible that some of the other cards will also make it. So Warrior ranking at number 3, ranking at number 4, and it hasn't even been fully refined yet. But if we already saw all the Death Knight decks and we already saw all the Warrior decks, then what can possibly be the top 2 decks? And number 2, that's really going to surprise you, it's Hybrid Hunter. Yes, Hybrid Hunter using Hollow Hound, and Hybrid Hunter using Star Power with Haldron Brightwing. So Hunter got a bunch of defensive tools that Hunter has never had access to before. Hollow Hound, it's a cleave minion with Rush and with Lifesteal, so great defensive minion. Star Power, great defensive spell that's enhanced by Haldron Brightwing no matter where it is. So Hunter just like these slow Hunter decks. They've always been a pipe dream because Hunter has never had defensive capabilities. Okay, this is not the slowest possible deck. This is still like a hybrid style, mid-range style deck. Not exactly going all in on the big beasts, but still it has a significant big beast contribution. And it uses Hollow Hound, it uses Star Powers to defend, and it's actually able to defend even against stuff like Face Hunter. Like, that's madness. It's always been so that the faster Hunter deck is favored in Hunter games, but no longer. Actually, the only real weakness for Hybrid Hunter is Pure Paladin. And consequently, Pure Paladin is the best deck in the game at the moment. Pure Paladin, there have been a couple of different lists making use of Horn of the Windlord, so Pure Paladin is the Doomhammer class now. Pure Paladin has this shamanesque ability to just equip a Wind Fury weapon and smack face. And it looks like this is the stronger list, the one that uses Feast and Famine and Quel'Thalas. So yeah, you can just get a bunch of attack buffs on your character and smack face with that Horn of the Windlord. And if there's something on your way, well, you have an Anachronos to handle that. Just poof, away you go, and we smack face. Aggressive Pure Paladin is back. There used to be the Guardian's Grace style of Pure Paladin. The Absalma made a great list for that. That was the best type of Pure Paladin before the mini set. But now, thanks to Horn of the Windlord, more aggressive Pure Paladin is back, and it's quite dominant on the ladder. It only has one real weakness, which is Spell Demon Hunter. And Spell Demon Hunter has a bunch of other weaknesses, which means that Spell Demon Hunter cannot really be an absolute top tier deck, because it has too many weaknesses. So Pure Paladin, I'm expecting Pure Paladin nerf in the next like 2 weeks, but for now, enjoy smacking people with Horn of the Windlord. It's great. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.